Here's an idea. You should play meta decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! You should be climbing ladder with the same decks that populate your favorite tier lists and top table pie charts. I don't care that you're tired of normal summoning Moye and revealing a worm and yada yada yada. Your girl can drown. This ain't about her. This is about playing and appreciating Yu-Gi-Oh! The game for what it is and what it's become. Gaining a transcendent understanding of to negate or not to negate. Let me explain. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base to me is what I can only call militant casuals. Players who have all but sworn off decks like Tier, Branded, or whatever deck Konami feels like pushing to the forefront with overtuned support. Until that time of the month arrives and Konami has to take the same deck out behind the shed. Now, I'm not saying that you have to throw out your favorite pet deck and worship at the altar of Kit Kalos, but I think forcing yourself to play solely underpowered decks in a game known for power creep is borderline masochistic. Take the game of chess as an example. From your very first week of chess, you'll likely be exposed to the unstoppable E4 opening, generally considered to be the best first move by white in a game with nearly infinite move combinations. From the dregs of sub 100 ELO to the World Chess Championships, where grandmasters put their lifelong dedication on display, E4 is played by pretty much everyone, everywhere. What you won't see is people who have sworn off playing E4, or disparaging the skill of people who play E4, like you would in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now don't get me wrong, there still is a fascination with odd chess openings, and I'm willing to agree that it takes a lot more skill to pilot penguins to master one than Super Heavy Samurai. After all, one of the biggest chess streamers, Hikaru Nakamura, has a series where he climbs the online chess ladder with what is considered to be one of the worst chess openings, dubbed the Bong Cloud, and manages to climb because he, as a super grandmaster, is just that much better than 99.9% of people. But let me speak to my casual friends directly, the Blue Eyes and Dark Magician enthusiasts. Listen to me when I say, give a meta deck a try. I think a lot of the misconceptions around Yu-Gi-Oh! Clear up when you have a real deck at your fingertips. For example, I can see how people think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about vomiting million negate boards when your deck folds at the mere mention of a hand trap. Good decks are so much better at navigating through disruption, having room to play hand traps and board breakers, and not requiring you to run vanilla level 8 monsters to clog up your hand. Now, I also understand that part of the appeal of Yu-Gi-Oh! And why so many people return in the first place is nostalgia. It's something that personally I wish Konami would stop leaning so heavily into, but whatever, here we are. But consider these two things. 1. Bringing back the chess analogy, back in your wee old days, you probably had an opening that you would play against your old gramps. For me, it was this weird, staggered pawn structure. I mean, how are you going to take my pawns? They're all connected, my 5-year-old self thought. But you probably wouldn't stubbornly commit to only playing this opening forever. Just like Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can whip this out against your friends or on occasion, but you'd probably still want to learn E4 in the classics. And 2, chances are you aren't playing Blue Eyes anymore. Or at least, not the same Blue Eyes. If you play Master Duel and are committed to your childhood decks, chances are you still use the modern tools that were not available at the playground. Unless you're listening to this at 9 years old, you weren't summoning Blue Eye Spirit Dragon at your kindergarten recess. Admittedly, if there was one argument that I think holds its merits, it's the fact that playing meta decks can get a bit repetitive. If you play Branded all day, there's a chance that Branded will appear in more than 100% of your matches. And let's be honest, you can only resolve Branded fusion so many times before your brain starts to meld and mash together. But remember, not every deck is the same. The 8 negate boards that are Yu-Gi-Oh's boogeyman are really quite rare. It's just unfortunate that it's happening right now. Yes, some decks are linear, cookie-cutter negate fiestas, but some decks are slow, resource-focused control decks. And at the end of the day, even after all that, after seeing what true modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to offer, seeing how fun it is to power through a board with an equally questionably balanced deck, generating something from nothing because your one-card starter is him. If after learning what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to offer, and if you still don't like what it's become, then the only question left is, why? Why play a game that you clearly don't like? There are hundreds and hundreds of video games that could be taking up your precious time. Don't waste it yelling at the wind about how hand traps ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! Or better yet, find a community that does engage with the Yu-Gi-Oh that you miss. Goat format, Edison, whatever. These are blossoming communities, and they'd love to welcome another into their ranks. Rush Duels just came to Duel Links and is a great way to experience Yu-Gi-Oh! They even have so many of the classics retrained and repurposed. The nostalgic fan service is unreal. So what's the takeaway? Give modern Yu-Gi-Oh! A try. A real try with real modern decks. You'll gain an appreciation for Yu-Gi-Oh!, a hate for fluanderies, and maybe, just maybe, a desire to see Max C burn.